up here that we would like to try and follow for our next meeting. So this meeting is just primarily another organizational meeting, so we can vote for the chair and the vice chair. Once we vote for the chair, everything's going to be turned over to the chairperson, take over from there, and we will vote for the vice chair. So this is just an outline of what we can do in the future, this type of agenda. Just want everyone to get a view of this here. Of course, we can probably add a couple of things as well, just to give everyone the same type of outline. So, Mr. Bussey, if you don't mind with the assistance with the chair.
So, I've also asked Mr. Bussey, Attorney Bussey, if he could just briefly say what the role of the
Chair
and
vice
chair is
chairperson is, yes.
from an organizational structure kind of standpoint.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Again, Joel Bussey, once again, I'm from the City Attorney's Office, and I get to attend all of these meetings. Essentially, we'll start with the easier one. The vice chair, that role is simply to assume the chair in the absence of the chair. The chair obviously is generally going to be more of a public-facing member of the commission. Still has to work through the commission. For instance, if there was going to be communication from the chair to deliver a message or a communication to the city council, that would still have to be voted upon by the entire commission. Generally, the chair is much more involved in setting each month's or each meeting's agenda, and so that can be a big role in working with staff and kind of maybe even vetting out, taking ideas from other commissioners or other sources about certain topics that might be placed on that agenda, and then kind of finalizing that agenda with either the clerk's office or the staff's office. And so in that respect, it's an important role in terms of guiding what work the commission does or what information that it receives. And I know that, that's kind of the first order, or one of the first orders of business here. And I think, if you want, did you want me to get into, Director, the process for electing the chair?
Yes, we can get into the process as well. I think I sent everyone some of the explanation of the process, and so if you explain it.
Did you have a question?
I do have a question. I just have a point of order. It has June 12th, which is today's date. So is this the agenda for today?
This is just an example of what you can use for the future. So I was just trying to outline an example which we can use for the next meeting.
So are we having public comment at this meeting?
No, we're not.
Why not?
It wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah,
Certainly.
like I said, this is just an organizational meeting. Trying to organize the chair and vice chair.
I understand, but the agenda, the public agenda that was put out says this is a regular meeting. Is it a regular meeting subject to public comment?
No, there's no requirement under the ordinance or the adopted rules.
So before we get to the chair,
You said we could-
can we approve the minutes and include public comment at this meeting? We have members of the public here. I don't know if they wanted to make comments.
It's a requirement in the settlement agreement, for heaven's sakes.
Which is not signed.
Which, yeah, well,
It's not
shouldn't
signed
this
in
group be a
the-
little
in the-
proactive with
It's
respect to
not-
the settlement agreement?
So the settlement agreement has not been signed, and this, or it
Oh,
has.
so we don't do anything that it says, okay. Until
Would
it's
you
signed,
like
until the
me
judge.
to finish? Mr. Turchick, would you like for me to finish?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, so it hasn't been signed and the court hasn't approved it, so we're not bound to that settlement agreement. And Attorney Bussey, if I'm wrong, please correct me. So, but we're already moving in the spirit of that agreement. That's why the CCPO exists. So,
Do you think it will be moving in the spirit of that agreement to hold public comment, since when it is
Okay.
approved, it's required?
Okay, wait, we need you guys to respect this meeting, please, because I don't want you guys going back and forth, we're trying to get some business in.
I don't know, I wasn't involved, I
Could we have
just,
some order to the?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's going back and forth, we just gonna have some order, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I was just gonna add, I'm just appearing here now. I think that one of the first orders of business is to elect a chair and a vice chair. At that point, the chair takes over, presides over the remainder of the agenda. There isn't currently public comment on the agenda. There's nothing that will prohibit someone making a motion to add public comment to the agenda, but it's not on the agenda as of right now, is all I'm saying.
yeah, and so I'm gonna reiterate what Director Jefferson said. The purpose of this meeting is, this is the organizational meeting. And so that is our focus on this evening. is to elect a chair and a vice chair. That was the primary purpose. I believe that information was sent out to the commissioners, and they're all aware of that. And so we're gonna move on with the business of electing a chair and a vice chair. Director Jefferson?
Yeah, it sounds like the basic process that the city clerk's office has utilized, and I think that the former commission has utilized, is the first order will be to elect the chair, and it will be separate. They're not, you don't run as a ticket. The nominations would be solely for a chairperson. Any commissioner can place anyone's name in nomination, including their own. At that point, I think the process is, once all the nominations are made, then every person who is nominated would be afforded a brief opportunity to address the other commissioners and let them know why or why they don't want to be the chair. And at that point, once that is concluded, a vote would be taken according to the open meeting law and the statutes. That vote can't be anonymous, so it's taken in public, and once whoever receives the most votes obviously will be appointed as chair and will take over presiding over the remainder of the agenda, including the nominations for vice chair, which would follow.
I just want to point out for the record, for the minutes, what the public agenda says. And it does say adoption of the agenda prior to electing the chair and vice chair. And I think we need to honor what we put out to the public. So I'd like to have that noted in the minutes.
And I'm not opposed to certainly going through the agenda as it's noted. Do we have a copy of that? So it's been called to order. Looks like the first order of business is the election of the chair.
So the floor is open for nominees for the chair.
Go ahead.
I would like to nominate Miss Mary as chair, and I don't want to butcher her last name, so I'm just gonna say DS, sorry.
I accept, and it's Dido Swinton.
Thank you.
Let's first see if there are any other nominations, and then we provide a brief opportunity for each nominee to speak. Any other nominations from any commissioner? Go ahead.
I just have a question. I don't have a list of everybody in front of me. I asked for that on May 16th and never got it. I don't know most of the people in this room. So when you say you're gonna nominate somebody, I don't know who that is, and I don't know what qualifications they bring to the nomination. I would like to, Mr. Jefferson said when I came in, we were all gonna reintroduce ourselves.
Yeah, we were, and that
So
slipped my mind,
I
I
think we're a little
forgot.
ahead of the
Okay.
game.
Yes, and we can do that. So if you want to stand up first, and we'll just go around the room and everyone introduce themselves.
Yes, and what would you like to have included in the introduction?
You can say your name, you can talk about your background if you like.
I'm Stacy Marian Sherman. I apologize for not being at the May meeting. I'm sorry to sit at the front row and have my back to you all. I have a hearing impairment. It's a little challenging to be in this room, but I'm going to make the best of it. I hope you'll be patient with me if I have to ask for things to be repeated. I hope the next time I'll have some microphones so people talk. I'm going to do the best I can. I am currently with Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract, where we put together recommendations that benefit officers and the community for things that were in the contract. We had public forums on the new recommendations that are about to be released. We're planning on doing a presentation. We were invited by the City Council's Policy on Government Oversight to present those recommendations. They're common sense and dollar and cents. That's something I've been very active in. In my previous roles, I'm an attorney by training. I spent almost 9 years as a public defender. I went on to work in Maryland and ended up suing the state of Maryland over their really horrific abusive boot camps that mainly were viciously assaulting and attacking children and youth of color. We got a landmark settlement. Went on to just start youth programming in Baltimore. I've lived in Minnesota for 6 years. We followed our daughter out here who teaches in Minneapolis public schools, and I'm in Ward 9 in the corporate neighborhood, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Can we start down here, Mr.
Sure.
Olson?
My name's Paul Olson. I am also an attorney by training. I am fairly new to returning to Minneapolis. I grew up in the Twin Cities, left for law school in 1984, worked in a number of law jobs over the years, but the last 20-some, I was working in the Seattle City Attorney's Office as a labor and employment lawyer and working on their police accountability issues. I was part of the legal team that was assigned to the consent decree, the federal consent decree that the city of Seattle was involved in, and have worked a lot on police discipline, police hiring, police everything in terms of just like what are the issues in operating a police department and dealing with accountability issues as well. So I'm new to Minneapolis. I'm from the 3rd Ward, but have some experience I hope to be valuable to this group.
Thank you, Ms. Olson.
Hi, I'm Mary Dito Swinton. I'm from Ward 7, was appointed by Councilmember Lisa Goodman. I am a community volunteer. I left the workforce many years ago, and I have used that extra time in my community. And I'm right now on the board of directors of Haven Housing, the board of directors of Domestic Abuse Project, the advisory board of Salvation Army, of the, also on the board of an artist collective called Rojo Collective. I'm involved in the arts. I love the arts. And so that's what I do with my time. I also previously sat on the police conduct review panel that just went away, and it was a really great experience. I was sad that it was going away, but here I am, and I'm happy to be on this commission to continue that work with the added part of recommending discipline where it's applicable. But I'm Mary Dito Swinton.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Latanya Reeves. I am a probation officer by trade. Northsider for life. I was born in North Minneapolis. I've been here all of my life. I do a lot of different things around public safety. I am the chair of the Civilian Public Safety Commission. I sit on several boards, legislative committees, the Minnesota Corrections Association Executive Board, board of directors, and things like that. So many things with legislative policy. I am the vice president of ASME Council 5 with the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees for the state of Minnesota. To do a lot of union work and work a lot with contracts. We just did the Hennepin County contract for the 6 Hennepin County ASME locals. So many different things. I enjoy working in the community. Like I said, public safety is my wheelhouse. I do a lot of things with law enforcement in terms of public safety forums, giving information out to the community about what they're actually working on, how can we make things better, how can we increase communication, those type of things. So, thank you. And I'm the mayor's appointee from Ward 7.
Thank you.
How do you follow that? So I'm Fatou Wali. I'm the CEO of Isuran. Isuran is a nonprofit that serves Somali women and their families. We have our bases in Minneapolis, but we serve about 7 zip codes, so it's everyone that comes to our offices from Minnesota. My background is in public health. Safety and community relationship is a public health issue for me. And I joined this committee to understand how to build better relationship between the community and the police. Intervention, early prevention is my calling, and I love what I do, and I love supporting the community to feel safe and welcome. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Phil, Ward 11, that's all.
Oh yeah, Ward 3.
Thank you. Mrs. Simpson.
Louis Smith. I am also an attorney. I've practiced local government law for the last 35 years. My experience includes working in the county attorney's office and working on policy issues, including better racial composition of the grand jury. I represented the city in a police discharge case about 25 years ago that was very visible and was unsuccessful, and that is partly a part of my baptism in accountability issues. Otherwise, I've counseled local government and also done a lot of work with community collaborations in Sea Riverside and Phillips and Lake Street area, working on workforce issues and safety issues. And I'm a mayor's appointee as well. I live in Ward 13.
Thank you.
North Ward resident, originally from Miami, Florida, but I pay my mortgage over north. I am an underwriter for a professional insurance company that we do professional lines of business, so I insure banks around the United States. I have 2 children. My first is just finished her first year in college down in Bethune-Cookman in Daytona, Florida. My youngest is here, just went 7th grade. The committees I've sat on here is Northern Metals Committee with the City of Minneapolis, as well as Upper Harbor Terminal with the City of Minneapolis as well, and so eager to be a part of this committee as well.
Thank you.
I'm Alexis Peterson. I'm from Ward 10. My background is in social work. I worked in adult mental health and then worked with adolescents experiencing homelessness.
Thank you.
I'm Darren Morval. I'm from Ward 12. I have a background in education and criminal justice. I worked in corrections for a brief amount of time. I'm now working in a nonprofit here in Minneapolis. I work in marketing. I'm also pursuing my education in marketing as well. Active member in the community. I enjoy volunteering with organizations in here as well. Just kind of excited to do the work here with all of you.
I'm Josh Lohr, Ward 1. I've lived in Minneapolis for just over a year, but I'm a former university professor. I used to teach at both Yale University and Michigan Technological University. While I was in Michigan, it was in the Upper Peninsula, felt low to Minneapolis, which is why I'm here. And I'm passionate about helping youth and helping our communities connect and avoid unnecessary problems. Thank you.
AJ Awed, representing Ward 6. I'm also an attorney by training. That's why I'm getting a lot of folks in the room. I run my own ER practice. I'm also the executive director for the City of Oversight Community Council. I sit on the chair for the University District Alliance as well, which is a conglomerate of the neighborhoods surrounding the U of M. Excited to be here with you guys. Something personal, so she started that. I got 3 kids as well. So.
Thank you.
My name is Jen Clement. I'm Ward 5. I'm a small business owner. I taught in North Minneapolis for about 10 years at Franklin, Patrick Henry, North, Edison high schools were summer school. Predominant experience is junior high. I own a small business on the north side. We employ about 20 people full time. What else? I'm a landlord on the north side. I have a 17-year-old son named Anthony. He plays basketball. He thinks he's good. He is actually pretty good. Not to brag on my baby, but a little bit. And that's it.
We have one more person there trying to log in right now.
Are they in?
Yeah, it's,
Okay, well, why do you work on the
Sure.
login? Pardon?
no, sure.
Oh, should I? Okay.
Yes, please.
So that was also impressive. I actually had a basketballer as well.
How old?
He's like 6'9" with a 7'6" wingspan.
Where does he go to school?
He played in the NBA a little bit, and now he's in.
Oh, I thought you meant a high school. Look at me trying to recruit at my son's high school, like 6'9". Well, you know, we can do out of district enrollment.
Okay.
You know, hear me trying to finesse.
So that's the personal. I have two of them. One is a girl. But I really wanted to stand up and say this, and we probably should have said it before we started the nomination. All of you are immensely qualified to be chair or vice chair. You are on this committee, right? You went through the 160 applications, and you were the people who have been selected to represent community. So each of you brings something that's unique and needed on this new commission. And so all of you are qualified. Sometimes we might get that imposter syndrome. How did I get here? Right? And none of you should have that. So I want to say that first and foremost. And that so each one of you should feel like if I've never led anything before, this might be the thing, right? And so we are all here to support each other as we move this commission forward. So I just wanted to say that before we get to the next phase. So we have one name already. I'm excited. And then I think we are cutting the person.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we gonna go ahead to the other folks?
Yeah, I want this person to introduce themselves as well.
Okay, and then we'll go back to nominations, but I think that's important to say that you all are clearly qualified, and more importantly, I know you wouldn't be here giving your time in this way. And Mayor, you giving your time in this way, and it can be time consuming if you really didn't want to see change happen in an impactful and meaningful way in communities. Director Jefferson?
Hi, Mara. Can you hear us? Okay. Wait, 1 second here. I'm just getting the audio. Can you try speaking and this is?
Yes.
There we go. All right, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, the video isn't connected, so she'll just have to speak.
We have one more person, Mark. If you, everyone's introducing themselves. If you can introduce yourself, I'm sorry to put you on the screen right now. But if you can introduce yourself, just tell you, tell a little bit about your background. We're trying to introduce everyone, so we're like to vote for the chair for the CCPO, and you can introduce yourself.
Sure, of course. I'm sorry I'm late. My name is Mara Shanfield. I'm the Commissioner for Ward 2, and I grew up in St. Paul and moved to Minneapolis in 2020, but I haven't lived in the Twin Cities for the past 25 years. So I'm looking forward to being part of some improvements in the city. And I currently work as a Director of Design and Implementation for a positive youth development research and consulting firm based in Minneapolis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So everyone has, don't feel shy if you like to nominate yourself or nominate someone else. This is your opportunity to do so. There's no special qualifications. So we'll start all over again.
We actually have one nominee, so.
Yes. So whoever else.
I'd like to nominate Latanya Reeves for vice chair.
We're going to do chair first.
Oh, chair?
Let's do chair.
I want to second the motion of Mary.
We want to nominate people first.
Yeah, once their name is
Yeah.
in,
Right.
then
We can move on.
the no
Yeah,
number
you
second.
redo it.
So essentially, you're asking, is there anybody else who
Anybody
wants
else?
to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, is there anybody
Like-
else who has an interest in nominating themselves for chair?
Or not.
I do not want it. I'm just trying to push it off on you all, so.
Sounds like vice chair over there.
No, absolutely not. No.
Anyone?
Oh, don't be so shy.
Don't be shy.
There we go.
Mr. Sir? Mr. Lord. No. Yeah.
No, you put yourself or someone else back.
Who's nominating me? She's not me.
Okay.
So we have two nominees right now?
And
Is there any?
Mara, we are nominating people for the chair.
Who's the
If you'd
second
like to
nominee?
nominate
Josh.
yourself, you can. If there's someone else you'd like to nominate, please feel free to do so.
Okay, I think,
Could you repeat the name of the two people who have been nominated?
I'm sorry?
Would you mind repeating the names of the two people who have been nominated?
Ms. Delore and Ms.
Dido Swinton.
Dido Swinton.
Thank you.
all right.
That's
I
for the
think-
chair.
Do you want me to proceed or?
Yes, go ahead.
I think we'll consider the nominations closed unless there's any last second one. So now, since there are two nominees, we'd give, probably in the order that they were nominated, an opportunity to briefly address the fellow commissioners and let them know why you might be interested in the job if you indeed are. And so, Ms. Dido Swanson.
Hello, I am interested, and I appreciate the nomination. I think that I would be a good chair. First of all, I know that we are all committed to this commission, but I really believe that this commission has the possibility of making positive change in the relationship between the residents of Minneapolis and law enforcement in Minneapolis, because right now it is it's not good, and I mean either way, it's not good. I also feel like I have good communication skill. I can yuck it up with the best of them. I have lots of experience leading meetings of volunteers, and that is a different skill than leading a meeting of people who are being paid to be somewhere. So I do have experience with volunteer leadership. I am committed to, one, I do believe that there should be public comment at these meetings. Two, I am committed in seeing that all of the commissioners receive the training that they need to feel confident in this job. It's, as I think the only one here who has sat on a police conduct review panel, it's a lot. And the training is great, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you get to a panel and you're like, it's, you know, it can be intimidating and kind of scary, but I'm committed to seeing that everyone on this commission is prepared for those panels. And the other things that this commission is supposed to do, like contributing to the performance evaluation of the police chief. I'm committed in doing what I can to make sure that that actually happens. Even the little things like the $50 for this,
Yes, I hear you.
for this, you know, for this, for participating today. So anyway, I really want to do this, and I appreciate the nomination, and I appreciate in advance anybody who raises their hand to vote for me, and I promise that if I am elected the chairman of this commission, that I will do my very best. Thank you.
Mr. Thor?
Hi. I want to say, first of all, thank you. I'm humbled by the group of people that's been gathered on this commission. I think that there's a range of very intelligent voices and very connected voices to this community, and I'm really looking forward to your perspective on all of these very difficult issues. As a former faculty senator at my previous university, I did serve on the executive committee of the university, as well as chair of several other committees, including one that got involved in reviewing police oversight when there were dramatic events on campus that called into question policy and procedure in those events. And so I'm committed, if elected chair, my goal with this commission is transparency, to make sure that the workings of this commission are as open as is allowed possibly, and that we can be as clear and communicative about what's going on in the city as possible, and about trying, as Mary said, to improve relations between law enforcement and the members of our community. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so now the open meeting law does require that the votes be recorded. I don't know what the best way to do that is, maybe to go around. We do have to have a record of who voted for who, so if you could either.
Would you suggest it was the easiest to show down?
Yeah, I would suggest to maybe just go down the line. Do we want to start here and kind of snake around?
You'll record.
I'm sorry, is
No,
there a
but-
different?
No, that's right, you not do it on this paper, like,
So-
so our commission did it.
Well, we could, but that'd be an option. You'd have to write your name on the paper.
On the back of the paper.
So that
That's
it's
fine.
recorded. It's
That's
a little more comfortable doing that, and then our online commissioner would have to be counted for as well.
It doesn't matter, I mean, we can, I'm just wondering, because I've just.
That might be a better, let's do that. How about,
I think that's better.
if everybody can be sure to write your name and then who you're voting for, and that'll be read out.
I've got paper. Okay, does anybody need paper?
Does anyone need paper?
Anyone need paper, first of all? And a pen?
So you're writing the candidates, your person's name on the, you're voting for on the front, and just sign it. Can we put the names on the screen so they can see the names? Or we can, you're voting for either Mary or Josh. That's easier, right? Mary or Josh.
And then Mara.
Mara, you good, can you hear me okay?
Did you put it in the chat there, please?
Yeah, if you can put it in the chat.
And then if you have a written record.
Yeah. It's similar work. And just Mary. Part of the nominees.
You want to pass them to you all, or how do you want to?
Yeah, we'll collect those.
Thank you.
We'll take, thank you.
Yes, I can. Can I ask a quick clarifying question?
Go ahead.
Mary, is Mary the woman who was on the commission last
We
week?
can hear,
We can hear you.
Great, great, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. I knew who was here. Thank you.
With somebody that could collect, oh, they already know.
Yeah, we could.
So just to clarify, the public, so both nominations we give
Are you collecting?
public comments.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Let's see if we get through.
It's not working.
And then, Director, if I might point out, I do know that the agenda that's published online is published, it does differ from what was handed out. So, once we do have a chair, the chair should take over and move on to adopting the agenda and make a motion regarding any other item on the agenda, including public comment and acceptance of the minutes from last meeting, and then probably vice chair.
Thank you.
That's the right.
So we're tallying the votes. I don't know if you want to break for 10 minutes. We're tallying the votes now. Do you want to break for 10 minutes? If you want to break for 10 minutes, you can. We're just tallying the votes.
Thank you.
Funny look on my face.
Folks, can we have your attention, please?
We'll call the commission meeting back to order. The results indicate that the new chair is Mayor Guido Swenson. Congratulations. And with that, we will turn the chairship over to you. We do have a couple matters that I mentioned to deal with before the vice chair election, and that would be the adoption of the agenda. And certainly you could entertain a motion to add an item to the agenda if that might be with regard to public comment or anything else. And so that would be your first order of business, would be to entertain motions to adopt the agenda.
I'd like to also thank Mr. Moore for.
So maybe if you wanted
To sit here in the front for us?
or take the podium or sit more centrally. And I understand, well, staff is planning on having a better configuration in future meetings that are more conducive to a commission meeting. This is probably not what it's set up.
That's what we said, this room is used quite a bit, but we know that U shape that we have is much more conducive to having a meeting where you can really interact with each other. So we will make sure that is how it is at our future meetings.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
We were talking about actually how the room is set up before, you were actually on, Commissioner, you were on the video. But it was set up like a U shape, so it made it easier for everybody to kind of communicate, and it'll probably help too, just trying to hear everyone.
No question, it's much better.
We will make sure next time it's set up that way.
Great, thank you, appreciate you repeating that.
Thank you.
First, thank you. I'm super excited about this. Second, I have a question. Were our introductions the roll call?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Just checking. I'm also a rule follower, so. Okay.
Madam Chair, if I might, I would
Yes.
note that one of our members has not been sworn in yet. I would note also it didn't affect the vote, but technically we'll have to get him sworn in so that he can be a fully participating member.
Okay, thank you. He did mention that when he, after he talked to you. All right, well, next on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Yes, Commissioner
Stacy.
Just Stacy.
Gurry and Sherman, but
Gurry
Stacy's
and
gonna be a
Sherman.
lot easier.
Okay.
I thought we were following the agenda that was on the public website, and so I did send out to everybody things that, just right up the alley of what you said. You don't know what you don't know, and until I started reading all the materials over again, I had questions, and so I put together a sheet, because I work much better when I put things in writing. So I would like to add these things to the agenda, and if not for tonight, for the next meeting, because they do go into things like stipends, how we're gonna get assigned to things, and also, I think a huge role of this commission, for which we've received very little information and no training, is the whole side about the research and the policy and the overall recommendations that we're gonna make. We haven't even broached that, and I also am asking for a training on that. And I also think, for instance, we need a training on the settlement agreement. It does mention things that would touch our work for sure, and intersect with that, and I think we should get into training by the city attorney's office. And if it comes down to it, when the Department of Justice, if there's a consent decree, a settlement agreement, we would need that. So with your permission, I would simply like to pass these out.
Okay, so for purposes of the agenda, I have not seen that. So are you suggesting that everything on your handout you want to be part of today's agenda?
I would, yes, and if it has to be tabled till next week, that's fine, or till July, yes. I think a lot of these things, I've been asking for information as simple as the list of commissioners since before the May 16th meeting, and we haven't been provided that. I just got it sent to me to help me hear in with the names, but we should all have that. So yes, that's my proposal.
Okay.
It's been out for a long.
As well as the ordinance and the policy, we've been given that, furnished with that information.
Did we get that at the last meeting? You mean the first meeting of May 16th?
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
And I believe it was emailed as well.
I didn't see the list.
That came afterwards.
Oh, I'm sorry?
I believe that the email came after our meeting, along with the minutes and stuff.
It didn't contain a list of the commissioners, though.
Yeah, so we have all of that.
Okay, well, I just got it, so it's good to know.
Do you have a motion?
Yes, I have a motion to introduce these on the
Okay.
agenda, and I'd like to pass these out for consideration.
Okay, please pass them out. I don't know that it's fair to ask us to vote on 2 pages of information that we're just now getting.
I was just gonna say, I'm not like needing to ever leave early. I have a ton of time on my hands. It's literally why I applied to be on this. Trying to get more involved, but because it said just the voting of the 2 positions, tonight I got to borrow the kid. I got no cars and we're short cars at home and we're moving stuff around tonight. So,
Okay, so
that's.
there is a motion on the floor. She's asking to amend the motion to include this in July's meeting. So can I ask, yeah, is there a second? But I was gonna ask before the second, if we could possibly take up this motion in July, after people have read your handout.
Yeah, I need to read the handout and then maybe see what you would want as an agenda and then compare the 2 before I vote on 2 pages of additional stuff after the training tomorrow to kind of see what I would need. I don't know if other people agree with that, but.
Okay, so, are you seconding?
No, I'm not
Okay.
seconding, but I suspect that there probably isn't gonna be a second, so then by default, it probably will just get to July, so.
So there is a motion, is there a second? And when you say that I second, what you're saying is not that you agree with it, you're saying that I wanna talk about it. I want this to keep moving and we'll talk about it.
I just have a question
Yes.
regarding the motion. Is there something that's prudent in here that needs to be discussed today? Because I don't want to push this off until July.
No.
And then this should have been in this particular meeting here now.
I mean, I don't know, I think the trainings, we have a list of trainings, one of the PowerPoints, I just wanted to know when those were coming up, like things on the open meetings and all that. I don't think there's anything that can't wait till July, because we already know we're gonna get the public comment on the next meeting, and that to me was really important. The other thing that I thought was important is we're getting a lot of emails from people in the public. I'm not sure if we're allowed to respond to that, or what the process is, and so I wanted to know if we could talk about that, but I don't think there's anything else that can't wait until July. And these aren't suggestions. If they're voted down, they're voted down, but these are the things that came up for me. And as Mary noted, I think we're gonna need to know information to do our job, and I don't feel quite qualified yet to take on a disciplinary action, especially since I've been told by some people, Mary, you would know this better, that some of those investigations that we're gonna get are 100 to 200 pages. We haven't been told how much lead time we're gonna get. We have 3 business days to make a decision. I want to know how this is going to impact my life and your life. And so I think these are all questions that can wait till July, but I don't know if we can take cases before that. We don't have so much information. But I don't know what the timetable is for getting cases, disciplinary.
I don't know the answer to that either. Madam Chair?
Yes.
Let me just address some of the concerns that have been brought up, is that we are in the organizational phase. I think we've said that. We have been providing information, those trainings are coming, and so, we could spend all day and night here, so, and that really is what it would take. So what we've done is we've tried to be very thoughtful about what it is that we need to share with you first, and how we need to share that. We also want you to be prepared. There is no one in our department, in our division, who is trying to set you up not to be successful. So let me say that first of all. And we understand in order to be successful, you need information, but we also understand this is not your only thing that you do. So we're balancing that, and I think the questions that the commissioner has, they are valid questions, and just know that we've been thoughtful about those things. But if there's something that you feel you're not getting, we are open, the director is open, Director Jefferson specifically, to having those conversations. And so I will address the email issue once the chair, because this is a first order of business, the chair and vice chair for us, because that's who we're going to primarily work with to move the commission forward. But the emails I know that you've been receiving, that is something that we're going to just briefly talk about once, if you allow, once the chair election vice chair election is concluded. But I hope that's helpful.
May I say something about training? There's a lot of training. And we're trying to make sure that you're going to be successful with everything that you're doing. For me to give you all the training at once, trust me, it's a lot. You would not be able to digest everything. We can have 5 blocks of training if you want. That's not what I'm trying to do, for 5 hours of training. That's what I'm not trying to do. So I'm trying to be respectful of your other lives. So the training is coming. All the training that you would need to make yourself very successful in what you're doing, and also to address the panels. So that training is coming. Like, I'm not trying to set you up for failure at all. I want you to be successful. So the training is coming.
Okay, so we have a motion that has not been seconded at this point. And hearing no second, the motion dies. So, we still have not approved the agenda, so is there a motion to approve the agenda as it's been presented, or?
So moved.
Second. Second. It's been moved and second that we approve the agenda as it's been presented, and by presented, I mean the one that was put on the public-facing website. So, all those in favor of approving the agenda as presented?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And who is, just Claire, are you all taking?
I'm taking.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a public copy of the agenda per the open meeting law? There has to be one copy for the public.
There are agendas up here, but they are different.
These aren't the one that you just approved.
Oh, that's correct.
That's not the one that just approved.
Sure. First of all, the motion to approve the agenda carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes from May 16th. Following that, it says discussion, and then there's election of officers, and that would be for the vice chair, and then nominating of officers, and then the election, and then
Well, it's, okay, and then adjournment. Okay, all right, let's go back. You all received the minutes from May 16th. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Yes.
The minute should note that I was virtual. I don't know if anybody else was virtual. I think it's important to note that. I also don't feel that they were minutes. I think that simply putting action taken, received, and filed is nothing more than an agenda with, it doesn't tell the public what we are. I take very seriously, on the CCPO website, it says, quote, "The Community Commission on Police Oversight was established to provide a forum for the public to have meaningful engagement in police oversight," end quote. Those minutes will not give people a meaningful engagement. So my motion is to table the minutes so that actual minutes can be written. We have no idea of things that were said that were subject to public comment. City Council President Andrea Jenkins and others had some very, very thoughtful and important comments to make about the eyes world are on us. None of that's in the agenda. So I don't think, I'm sorry, not in the minutes. So I don't think we have minutes to approve.
Okay, there is a motion to table these minutes until they include other things, but if I might be out of order and add, minutes are not verbal, visual reenactments of everything that was said and discussion that was held. Minutes technically are actions that were taken.
I agree, but actions were taken, things were said. I think that the post board puts out 2 or 3 page minutes of what they've done. I don't think that it doesn't say what actions were taken. It just says the agenda and action was taken. It doesn't specify it. And I think that there were other things that need to be in the agenda.
I understand what you're saying, but I think some minutes are not technically correct in noting Commissioner A said this, visitor said that.
I agree.
That is not what minutes are, the business that was conducted and actions that were taken. So that's me stepping away as chair and just being Commissioner Mary and responding to that. But there is a motion on the floor to table these minutes until July, until additional information can be added to them. Is there a second?
Is there a hard copy of the minutes as required by the open meeting law? The open meeting law requires 1 copy for the public.
This is not a commissioner. Go ahead. All the commissioners are.
It's up to the chair, but in general, commissioners are authorized to address you. Mr. Turchik is correct. There appears to be a discrepancy between what the printed agenda is and what was published. It's possible to get a printed agenda that reflects what was online.
And the minutes, please, sir, and the minutes?
Under the open meeting law.
Are we getting them today?
I will personally.
We're gonna get you a copy of the minutes.
Not for me, for the public, I mean, just 1 copy.
Thank you. Is there a second to table the minutes until July? Okay, seeing no second, that motion fails. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as they were presented?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from May 16th as they were presented. Is there any discussion?
I do think we should allow the public to have access to our minutes, and I'm comfortable voting until they get access.
Well, they're online.
They're online.
They're all online.
Well, they're all right here.
Yeah.
I'm on the page for it.
All right.
It's a matter of printing it out right now, which I don't think we can use the staff to do that.
But, and if it's on the website, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Still an open meeting violation.
Okay, it's been moved. Are there any other questions or discussion about the minutes from May 16th? No. All right, it's been moved and second to approve the minutes from May 16th as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All righty, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next is election of officers, and that is for the office of vice chair. And We are now going to accept nominations for the office of vice chair. Yes.
Josh for VP, raise your right hand. Happy to stand.
Yeah, I nominate Josh too.
We're all trying to push ourselves away.
Commissioner Josh, tell me your last name.
Lower, L-O-A-R.
L-O-A-R. Thank you. Alrighty, Commissioner Lohr has been nominated for vice chair. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair?
We'd like to nominate Tanya Reed.
Tanya Reeves has been nominated for the office of vice chair. Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate myself.
Okay. Gary, I'm gonna get Commissioner Stacy, whose last name I'm not gonna butcher right now, has also been nominated for vice chair. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair?
Nominate myself. Derek, roll call.
Vote.
Board, B-O-R-D-A-H-L.
Alrighty, Commissioner Borpool has been nominated for the office of, for the position of vice chair. Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Are there any nominations for the position of vice chair? Are there any further nominations for the position of vice chair? I like to say it 3 times.
Yes, thank you. You want us to write it down on paper again?
Yes,
And
okay.
bring it up to you?
Nominations for the position of vice chair are closed. Do all our nominees accept the nomination, first of all?
Are we going to?
Yes. Yes. We all accept. Okay. In the order of nominating, if you would like to share something with us, Commissioner Lohr?
I've said what I have to say.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. Commissioner Reeves?
I'll just add, thank you for the nomination. I just recently served as vice chair of the Minneapolis Civil Rights Commission. I have a lot of experience working with the commissioners, working with various professionals. So I'm a very good communicator, work well with challenging populations. So this would be a really good role for me, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stacy?
Thank you. I think you can see that one of the things that I really respect in a group like that we are diverse. I'm not afraid to be the loyal opposition, but I'm also respect decisions that are made. Been working with the American Bar Association years ago and oversaw a lot of their committees and commissions. I was a staff person and so had to do agendas and do different things and try to bring people to consensus. With Minneapolis for a Better Police contract, Tanya was at a public forum, we had some very good debate. It's bringing people together. I'm very much into research and policy, and I think that one of the things that we really need to be keeping an eye on as we go forward is the number of hours we're spending prepping our panel cases, but also gathering the statistics for things like, are our recommendations to the chief being followed? Are they being revised? Are they not? Are we getting access to things that we said we were? I think all of that takes a tremendous amount of time. I'm retired, I don't have a steady job, I do a lot of community work, but I have the time to really put that in. And I think it's just really important to have that kind of documentation. I did it when I was on the bargaining team for MFT 59. I was on the including during the strike. I was on the board of the educational support professionals. I was a child care assistant for 6 years and did that work while I was on my feet for 4 or 6 hours a day. So I just think it's really important to have that kind of work documented so that as we're doing the really big work of the groundwork, we're collecting the data for what is working, what we need to do more, what we need to ask the chief and the city council to do to make this commission even more effective for the public. The eyes are on us, there's a lot of skepticism. I want to prove the skeptics wrong.
Thank you, Commissioner Stacy. And last, we have Commissioner Borpool.
All right, so in my time working in corrections, I also was the union representative for our union. Also my time working in corrections was very familiar with the vast amount of policies that we had to follow, or the grievances on inmates, and familiar with all of that that comes with that. And also just in my time now working with a nonprofit, we work with people re-entry, so those that are coming from incarceration. So continuing my work, feel a lot better about the work that I'm doing currently.
Thank you, nominees. And just like the vote for chair, if you'll write your name and who you're voting for vice chair on the paper.
I don't care if it's open or closed, I just voted. Anybody else in favor?
And according to our agenda that we shared with the public, this is our last item of business, so if we can stand at ease while the votes are tallied.
I don't know, I just get calls, I don't even know anymore. But I'm slowly, like, as my clients are stopping, I'm letting them go, because now they have to clock in and do. It's hard to do it, so I wanted to pay standards because you can do that remote.
While we're waiting, Mr. Jefferson, we have another training scheduled, should be up to 14.
Oh, there goes Mara. Here now.
Mara, we had another vote, I apologize for the vote. That's the nominees for who again?
Josh Lord.
Mr. Josh Lord, and LaTanya Reeves for vice chair. Stacy.
I put it in chat.
Say your last name again.
She put it in the chat.
Gurian, right, yeah, you got it. And Derek.
Derek are the four nominees. So if you could put in your chat.
I could hear the name of the two, and I understand now that there are four.
Yes, there are four. Did you get all four?
Would you mind repeating them? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I heard Derek, I heard
Josh,
Josh.
Tanya Reeves,
Stacy,
Stacy, Gary Sherman, and Derek Vogel.
Heard, thank you.
That's for the vice chair. Is that your vote?
Yes, sir.
The agenda. I've got a reading
Yeah, I will. No.
Okay, if we can come back to order, thank you for your patience, thank you for calculating our votes for us, and I want to congratulate Commissioner Reeves on becoming our vice chair. All right, well, we are at the end of our agenda, and it's my understanding that since we have reached the end of the agenda that we voted for, that there's no need to move to adjourn and all that kind of business, so we're adjourned, thank
I
you.
just want to say one thing in regards to the training. We're supposed to have a training at 14 at 6 o'clock, but I'm trying to confirm that with the city attorney's office. So I will have a response for you first thing by noon tomorrow.
Is that a Monday?
That's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yes.
That's Wednesday.
But that's gonna be, I mean, I was under the impression, I think you put out an email, we're having meetings on
This
Monday.
is not, this is training.
But I know, but still,
Well, I have to go by what other people's schedule as well when they're available.
well, but I thought we were told we were gonna be meeting on Mondays, and I assumed that meant training.
I never said that. That's what public meetings. Right, the public meetings are on Tuesday.
On Mondays, but you have already scheduled meetings on
A couple of Mondays.
We're trying to schedule public meetings on Tuesday. We can't always get Tuesday because of the availability of this place. So sometimes they will be on Monday. So if you look at the schedule I sent out, you'll see that one is on Monday. Yeah. Okay, well, I didn't know it was on election day.
And that was one of the.
Thank you.
Thank you.